Okay, now onto the rune, Nauthiz. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm honestly not sure how to pronounce this one, and this one's a little bit tricky for me, but um, Nauthiz, yeah, I'll just leave it at that for now. I'm not really very good at pronouncing things, but instead of making it a video about that, I should get on with the rune video. Okay, this rune represents need, necessity, but it can also represent binds. What do I mean by that? Well, or it can also represent threads as well, threads of fate. What I mean by binds is it can, you know how need can bind you if you do not know what to do, for example? Uh, or like the threads of fate can also bind you, you know? Sometimes we get ourselves snagged in a bind, unfortunately, in life. And that's just what this rune represents. It is a very powerful rune for learning lessons and whatnot, but it can also teach us that we can weave our own destinies as well. And it's not just all about, being stagnant or being stuck like in a web, for example. It's not really all about that. This rune can really be a positive rune if you let it, just like with most of the other runes, I would say. Um, as long as you don't use this rune as long as you don't view this rune just like with the other runes, it's just a purely negative rune, it can really help you on your journey. It can help bind something for you, like I guess it can help you bind financial wealth as well, um, to you. So you can like bind blessings or miracles, whatever you want to call it. You can bind that to you. You can also bind a person from doing something negative as well, but it can be used in negative ways as well. But just know that if you do use it for a really bad thing, the rune will come back and bite you, so to speak, like in a metaphoric way. It's like a karmic rune, and or it can be if it's used for bad. But it can also help you weave your destiny, weave your home, so to speak. I hope I'm not talking too fast. I just clicked record and just went going. But yeah, this rune it's all about need and necessity, like needing a home, for example. Being on the verge of homelessness, which I have faced many times, unfortunately. Um, but it can be a really good rune. Hang on, semi's going by. It can be a really good rune to teach you important lessons and to value the things you have as well. That's something that a lot of people don't talk about. This rune is that it can teach you to value things you don't have, or you have, for example. Either way, it's it can be a blessing rune, but it can also be a negative one as well. As need in itself can be bad or good. It just depends on if you need the lesson or not, or um, if you deserve the struggle, I guess, or the lesson. But sometimes lessons come to us in in a negative light, but it can just turn out to be a blessing as well. Like one time I was facing homelessness. And, well, it wasn't a very fun time, but at the same time, though, I got to work and I figured that out, you know. So I figured everything out. So sometimes, it's just a rune about, it can also be a rune about not giving up. You see, it goes up and then sideways, but then you can go through the rune and go up again, or you can go down. It just depends on, you know, it just depends on you. What if you never decide to give up? If you give, but if you do give in to the darkness, to what may seem like a need, something that you cannot get, a need that that you want and need, that you must have, for example, it can also turn out to just be like an illusion, if you will. And with the threads of fate, sometimes, like I said, sometimes fate can be cruel. For example, like being on the verge of homelessness. But, it is what it is at the end of the day. And this room can teach you that. Through the light comes darkness sometimes as well, It's just how nature works, the cycle of life. But this rune isn't all bad like a lot of people think it is. It can be if you need it to be, or you allow it to be. Like, let's say if you try to bind someone with this rune, for example, that doesn't need a bind, for example, that is doing no harm, is doing the right thing, for example, the rune will reflect it back onto you tenfold or 20-fold. So just keep that in mind. If you plan on doing something stupid with this rune, it will come back to haunt you. You can best bet that. It can be a rune of like justice as well, in a sense. Just like a knot can tie someone that is doing something bad to prevent them from doing it ever again. You can also tie someone up that is innocent as well. It can be used for good or bad, but if you use it for bad, the consequences will be dire upon you. If you use it for good, you'll see the positive light of this rune. Trust me. What else is there? Destiny can be enlightening, but for destiny to unfold, sometimes there must be darkness. I know I pretty much already said that, but just getting the point across here is, enlightenment doesn't just come from like being in a positive mindset. Sometimes you got to see the darkness too, or else you're just going to end up stupid. For example, I know that may sound harsh, but it's true. If you don't see the bad in things, then you'll never understand what true wisdom is. What the rune of the wisdom, or what the rune provides as a type of wisdom. I mean, what this rune provides, you know. So I'm thinking here, what else may they be? Oh, yes. It can also help you fly through life in a metaphorical sense. It can help you guide along once you see the good and the bad. Like there's two sides of the rune. It can create a fire to help you in time of need, or it can create a fire upon your life, for example. And I know that may sound like really, really bad, but at the end of the day, lessons can be cruel. So can fate. Um, Fate can be a cruel mistress sometimes, but that's just the way it is. It's the way it's got to be. Uh, I think I said all that needs to be said with this rune. You know, it's a really, like, a lot of people with the runes, they just see one side of the rune. Oh, it's bad. Oh, it's negative. That's not true. It can be, yes, but that's only if you use it in a negative way. For example, so just keep that in mind with all the runes. Um, that will be all for today, though. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you very much for joining in.